Welcome back to another Pokemon What If Wednesday, where every Wednesday morning we go through last week's investing and collecting questions, where your guys' questions will actually be featured in the video, and one person's question will help me make the thumbnail every single week. So please drop your questions down below for a chance to be in next week's video, and if I did comment to you saying great question, I might use this and I didn't, please drop that same question again and put repeat question, and if it's pretty long, maybe shorten it up a little bit, and it will get moved to the top. And I'm not saying I'm some guru who just knows everything, but when I'm unsure, I always like to talk it out with a few people. It always helps me make my final decision. And we do have to get thanks to our video sponsor real quick, and that is ARIZONATCG. If you guys have a couple graded cards or a ton of graded cards you're looking to sell, but you don't want to deal with a bunch of people lowballing you or starting your own eBay store with no sales, then ARIZONATCG is perfect. You just send them all your graded cards. They're going to handle everything. They're going to take professional scans. Then they're going to post it to their massive weekly eBay auctions. And they charge almost the exact same amount as if you started your own eBay store, but this eBay store already has 100% positive feedback with over 10,000 cards sold. So definitely check them out. All the links are in the description. But all right, first question is from @JCat719. As someone who has never sold anything, would you say getting a booth is best for starting? Shipping individual items sounds annoying. So shipping individual items is extremely annoying and it gets super old. It sounds kind of fun right away, but it does get old super quick. Also, people are always trying to lowball you, or some of them are even trying to say their cards didn't show up when they did. So it does get old super quick. So sending cards to like ARIZONATCG, a consignment service, is definitely your easiest option. But I'd say getting a booth and going to a card show is where you're going to get the most amount of money. Now that does take time. You know, card show is going to be a whole day. Most card shows are one day. And then you got the bigger shows that are like 2 or 3 days. And honestly, the tables are cheap. Like we got Hobby Clash coming up. Huge 3-day show this summer in Minnesota. And you can get a premium table for $230 plus $6 for the service fee. Now that's for 3 days. So that's less than $100 a day. But I would say for your most one-day card shows, it's going to be like anywhere from $80 to $120 per table. And honestly, you are going to get way more closer to market than you would selling on Facebook Marketplace or eBay. And you can also share a table with a buddy, which makes it super, super cheap. Because when you sell on eBay, you know, you got to pay like 15% fees and all that. Where when you're at a card show, if you are right at market, it's a clean card, they will sell super quickly. Also, it's a super good experience. You'll meet a ton of people and you never know. You could get a really good deal. Someone might be trading in something crazy, or you never know what could happen at a card show. So I always recommend, if you guys are trying to sell your stuff, especially, you know, if it's raw, graded, sealed, like if you got a little bit of everything, definitely try a card show. All right, next is from @B.Stephanides A316. Would a PSA 10 Yveltal from Paradox Rift be a good buy right now? I'm not too familiar with pop report versus demand for illustration rares. Keep up the amazing content. My son and I love the videos. Sub if you haven't. I really appreciate that. So we're going to hop to Poke Data. The pop is only 818 in the 10, and it's 1,000 in the 9. So there's not that many 10s out there. It's not the toughest card to grade. Yeah, there's much tougher illustration rares to grade. But again, very popular Pokemon. Pretty popular set. And it's coming down in price right now. Got up to $200. Now last sold $135. I could see it maybe coming down in price a little bit more, but I could never really see this card getting below $100 in a PSA 10, in my opinion. So I feel like it is a solid pickup. Next is from @PMK Apoc. Hey Beard, which do you think will do better over the next year or two? EVPC ETB promo in a PSA 10, or Salamence EX Journey Together SIR in a PSA 10? So we got recent sales at 561 for the Salamence, 444, 525, 505. For the EV, we got one at 415, 420, 455. In my opinion, I think the EV will be worth a little bit more. There's a ton of people opening Journey Together right now, and the pull rates are pretty easy. It's a very small set, so there will be a ton of PSA 10 Salamances. So my guess would be the EV for sure. Next is from @DarkTower0Y1. Hey Beard, I look forward to watching your videos every week. Do you think now is a good time to invest in the Milotic SIR PSA 10, or do you think it will keep falling? Such an underrated card in my opinion. Thanks. So we got a pop of 1,889 in a 10 and 2,556 in a 9. It is going down in price right now. Last sold $275, $318, $230, $249. If it does go down any further, I feel like it'll level out right around $200. But again, I don't think this is a terrible price, especially if you can get it a little closer to, you know, $220, $230. Yeah, I agree. I think this is such an underrated card. I think this is one of the best special illustration rares in the entire Scarlet and Violet era. Next is from @JenSentasaruda 8002. What do you think the price per pack of the top Scarlet and Violet sets will be in 5 to 10 years? That's just so tough to say. Right now, Prismatic is winning with market price $11.92, with 151 market price $10.66. I mean, probably $20, $25, maybe $30 at most. You kind of got to compare it to like Evolving Skies. Now, 5 to 10 years, you know, if we're getting closer to 10 years, it could definitely be $30, $40. Again, it all depends on reprints. That's why it's a super tough question. But I always like to compare it to like the generation before, because Evolving Skies did get a ton printed, so it's not like it was just a super short printed set. Next is from at TJ Bart Lemus. What Japanese exclusive promo should I look into investing in? So I've talked about this card like 50 different times. We got ours at like $130 for a PSA 10. It's now up to about $300. But once you see this card in person, you will fall in love. It's kind of hard to see, but it literally has a World Championship stamp right here that's gold. And even like the lightning bolts from Pikachu are textured differently than the rest of the card. The card is insane, but still only $300. I could definitely see this card being a $500, maybe even $1,000 card one day, way down the road. Next, we got the Reds Pikachu, another super nice card. No texture on this card, but again, super nice Japanese exclusive card. PSA 10 sells $250, $260. This was also in the 100s not too long ago. But I think these are some of the best pickups that you can get right now on the Japanese side that are still somewhat affordable. Next is from at Math Teach Life. I have a PSA 10 Metal Charizard from the Celebrations UPC. How much do you think things from Celebrations could rise in value as we approach the 30th anniversary? That is a crazy card to have. Congratulations. I mean, last sold in a 10 is $5,000. But honestly, I could see Celebrations doubling. That is definitely a possibility. So, I mean, I would definitely wait to sell anything Celebrations till the 30th anniversary for sure. Next is from at Brad Speckman813. Is it time to pick up the Tropicos EX Ultra Premium Collection box? Say yes, because I just bought 2. So I've talked about these boxes before, and I think they are very solid, especially if you can get them for a good deal. Now, last sold on TCG Player, they are going up. 139, 139, 136, 137. But the 18 packs inside is what really matters, you know, and it's got a solid variety. Just like the RCS UPC, you know, not the best promos, but people like the packs, which is why that box is almost $200. So as long as you got it for a good deal, I think it's totally fine. Next is from at Josh Smith 7867. A question: at what point do you put your booster boxes or ETBs in a protective case? Like, do you have a value in mind where you protect it more? So I put every booster box and ETB in a case. They have these cheaper ones that you can get, where you can get a 20 pack for $40. Now these are sold out right now on Platinum Protectors. The whole tariff thing, you know, kind of screwed everything up, so everything's kind of on hold. But they should be coming in very soon, so please check back. But I put everything at least in these. And then for my higher end stuff, you know, it's usually the stuff that I like more. But if I had to put a price on it, maybe booster boxes that are, you know, $300, $400 or more, maybe $500 or more. And then maybe Pokemon Center ETBs, if it's regular ETBs, you know, these work fine. So yeah, I would definitely at least get the cheaper one, so that way you don't have to worry about them getting dented or anything like that if you drop it or bang it against something, or even if you're trying to put them all in a tote. You know, a lot of them will get crushed, so it's nice to have those for sure. Next is from at Sterling Vahan, 1971. Hey Beard, hope you and the family are well. Question for you: with Deaths and Rivals around the corner, do you think there will be a surge for Wizards of the Coast Team Rocket booster boxes? So I think we already did get a little surge. We might get a little bit more, but some of the Team Rocket stuff on the vintage side has definitely gone up in price. Next is from at Ty Newton, 1977. Do you think investing in sealed Japanese products is a good long-term strategy? Only if you get like the top sets and try not to overpay. But try to get sets like 151, Prismatic, you know, Team Rocket, stuff like that, and you will do just fine. All right, next is from at Roughnecked. Hey Beard, what if the Evolving Skies booster box is at 20K one day? That means the Moonbreon should go up in value a ton also, right? Otherwise it would make no sense to me. So the Umbreon would for sure follow, but that is not always the case. I mean, if it's at $20,000 for the booster box, Umbreon should definitely be pretty expensive. But a lot of times it's just that, you know, it's a sealed product. People open it all the time. So every time one gets opened, there's one less sealed product. So a lot of times the sealed product is worth more than the top chase. Next is from at M.Gooch. Hey Beard, should I trade my Twilight Masquerade booster box case for an Evolving Skies booster box? My LCS needs Twilight and offered the trade. So that's kind of a tough one. If the Evolving Skies booster box is absolutely mint, then I'd probably do it. Now, it is totally up to you, because I also do like having cases because you got so many options. You can always open up that case. You could sell a couple booster boxes. You know, you could save a couple. So it really depends on your situation and what you already have. Let's say you do not have very much sealed products. You know, a case might be a slightly better option, but you can never really go wrong with Evolving Skies. Next is from at Shiny Isaac 1. PokeBeard, how did you get to where you are in life? It's weird. I'm super blessed with 2 boys and a wife. I'm dirt poor, work in construction. The cost of living here in California is crazy. Bless you, man. Love your videos. All right, I'll give a little backstory. So I grew up in a small town in Minnesota, pop of a few hundred people. Went to a school where 7th through 12th grade was 500 people total. Grew up on a farm, tons of animals. My dad was a massive collector. Like, we had like 30, 40 different cars on our property, like 50 snowmobiles, dirt bikes, everything. You know, if it was free on the side of the road, my dad was throwing it in the trunk so he can try to work on it or do whatever with it. You know, he's always trying to buy and trade stuff. So I got super into collecting because of my dad. You know, I always watched American Pickers and Pawn Stars with him. So I always collected Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic the Gathering, Digimon, old coins, old bills, stuff like that. And we had a pretty normal childhood. You know, me and my sister, my two older brothers. My two older brothers are half brothers. They're kind of crazy, but, you know, they caused my family a lot of drama. They're pretty normal now. But then I'd say after I was about 15, that's when stuff started to get pretty rough. You know, in a small town like that, there's really nothing to do. So my dad was going to the bar every single day, and he made friends with some bad people and started to do some hard stuff. And that did not go over well. My dad lost the whole business. We lost the entire house that I grew up in. And then my mom got diagnosed with stage 4 lung cancer, which was super rough. I mean, we're still dealing with that today. So we were pretty poor there for a couple years while I was in school. And then, you know, I moved out when I was like 17, got a cooking job. I did that for a long time, you know, moved up restaurants every few years, just trying to upgrade while still collecting Pokemon this entire time on a budget. That's why I don't mind telling people, you know, it's okay to pick up a sleeve booster if you're on a strict budget or a booster bundle here and there, because I'm telling you, it does pay off in the future. And I have proof of that. So, you know, always trying to collect, always trying to play the TCG. That was one of the ways I could, you know, enjoy Pokemon on the cheap, because you do not have to get the big fancy cards. You can play really good decks for dirt cheap, and then just trying to finish sets that I was collecting. So I did that for, honestly, about 10 years, and that's when I started my eBay store to start selling. And then I met Mrs. Beard about 9 years ago, and, you know, luckily I lost my AirPod at the restaurant. She was a server at the restaurant. I gave up. I couldn't find it. It went somewhere, and she stayed after and actually looked around and finally found it. And that's how we kind of connected. So that's been super amazing. And then when I was like about 27, 28, like I said, that's when I started my eBay store. That's when COVID happened and the boom went crazy. And I sold one PSA 10 first edition Lugia for a ton of money. And that helped me, you know, really roll out the eBay store. And I did that for about a year. And then I started my YouTube channel. And now it's been a couple years doing the YouTube channel. And I never in a million years thought I would have a channel with this many subscribers and this many people watching me. Like, I am seriously, truly shocked every time I see this. And it doesn't even feel real sometimes. So I really appreciate everybody who watches me. It seriously means so much. But all right, next question is from @Bradley Halabai 3992. Hi, Beard. Love the content as always. I had 5 premium collection boxes from the Sword and Shield era and 2 ETB, which I sold off, now have enough to reinvest into booster boxes as I've doubled or tripled my original investment. What would be the better long-term investment? Either 1 Evolving Skies booster box or 3 Lost Origin booster boxes. And I have a little cash left over. That's another tough one because there is a chance Lost Origin, you know, does take off, and you got 3 different booster boxes, so you have options. With that Evolving Skies booster box, you don't really have any options. You're either holding it forever or, you know, you're going to sell it. So again, it's kind of up to you. Both, I think, are pretty solid. So kind of like I said before, it really depends on your collection. If you got a ton of stuff, you know, maybe an Evolving Skies booster box is the way to go. If you do not have very much stuff, you know, having 3 Lost Origin booster boxes is very solid and gives you more options in the future. Next is from a member @Avon47. I recently got my first graded card. Now I'm thinking of getting some sealed product. Is getting an EX box a good budget-friendly option to invest in? It's not the worst. It really depends on the pack selection and the promo. But honestly, booster bundles are a very good option, especially if you can find them in stores. I think that's a super good one. And those will sell so fast in the future. So if you're on a budget, I'd probably stick with booster bundles. Next is from @Ninja Swirls. Hey, Beard, love the content every week. Seriously, the best one out there. Thank you. Where's the best place to buy bulk lots of Pokemon singles? eBay, Facebook, or other places? eBay and Facebook are definitely your best 2 options. Otherwise, I've had very good luck of going to card stores. Sometimes they just get so much bulk, they just don't even want it anymore, and you can get it for crazy cheap or sometimes free. I've actually done that quite a few times with a ton of different shops. Next is from @Rose Panther. Great content, and thank you for what you do. When you feel the market will reach rock bottom this summer before it starts rising again? So if we're looking at history, normally August is when it's just completely died down. But again, we got that new black and white set that just got revealed. That's starting to look crazy. We got Destined Rivals that comes out, you know, in the middle of the summer. So it really just depends on everything, but I would say August. Next is from @JPoy9956. Mr. Beard, will you recommend buying single PSA 9 for 151 illustration cards to complete my wife master set, or should I wait? So I'd probably wait a little bit because a lot of 151 cards are going down. And if you are going to get a PSA 9 instead of raw, make sure it's a good deal. Because if you can get a raw one for the same price as a PSA 9 and the raw looks clean with the potential of a PSA 10, I'd rather get that raw with the, better potential of a PSA 10 than a card that already got graded. But like I said, if it's a super good deal, cheaper than raw, then yeah, if you're throwing it in a binder, that is totally fine. Next is from the Hat Turn A314. What grading company would you recommend for Pokemon cards? I've graded PSA, but the turnaround time is super long. Thanks. Keep up the great work. Honestly, PSA is your best bet, especially if you are trying to like sell any of these cards in the next few years or anything like that. Tag could be really good in the future. They definitely still have to work on their slabs. They're still pretty brittle. And then I definitely would not go CGC. You could do Beckett if they are super clean. Beckett sells way more than CGC that I've noticed at card shows, especially if they're, clean Beckett 10s, gold 10s or even black labels. Those will outsell a pristine CGC 10 or a basic CGC 10 every time. But yeah, the amount of people that I have coming up to me trying to sell me CGC slabs and they'll say no one else in the whole building wants it is crazy. It's so many people. Next is from System of a Mon. Hey PokeBeard, love the content. I wanted to ask how you approach holding on to single booster packs. I'm curious if you keep any aside when you're opening products, and if so, is it more to open for your personal collection at a later date? Or do you see any ROI on individual booster packs? Appreciate it. So I don't really do too much, especially for the modern stuff. I got a ton of regular boosters for like vintage, base set, fossil, jungle. I like to get like the art set if I complete the actual set, which I did for a ton of the original sets. And then I have like some team up and stuff, and I even have some Evolving Skies. But if it's anything else, I'd probably just open it, or you could maybe even try to get a couple packs graded for fun. You could try that out. But yeah, I don't do too much. They're just so sketchy, and the only place they really sell well is like at card shows. If you got like the little pack dispenser, people will come up and buy packs. But otherwise, they can be kind of tough to sell sometimes. All right, last question is from Googug2277. Hey Beard, what's the best way to store PSA slabs? I'm a huge graded card collector with almost 200 graded cards, and I've just been using the Lunchbox collector chests, which are great because of how cheap they are and can fit like 30 slabs. But it's not a perfect fit, and sometimes they slide around when I pick the chest up, and have even noticed a few scratches on one or two of the slabs. Do you use anything specific, or should I just be more careful? So definitely put all your slabs in like the little plastic cases. They look like team bags. They fit the slabs really nicely, so that way you do not have to worry about any of your slabs getting scratched. I would do that right away. And then you can also check out, if you got that big of a collection, there are some awesome cases, like Zion has cases, big slab cases where you can fit a ton of graded cards. I would definitely look into something like that, especially too if you're maybe someone who likes to bring your cards to card shows to maybe trade or do something like that. It's nice to have like one big box that you can just carry everything in. Otherwise, you could honestly get a safe. A lot of people, forget about that. A safe would do pretty good, even though cards usually do not end up the best in safes when there is an actual fire, but still a little bit better protection in case anybody wants to steal anything like that. That's a good option. But all right, that was today's Pokemon What If Wednesday. If you guys do like this content, please make sure you subscribe, hit that notification bell, leave a like, and leave a comment. If you guys want to support more, you can check out my Instagram or my YouTube membership is only 99 cents a month. But all right, I want you guys to have a great day. If you want to watch my last Pokemon Market Monday, click this video here. Otherwise, we'll see you next time.